Chapter 12. The security drone at Inflorescence Incorporated scanned Perdita's eyeline, showed her to the elevator, and told it to take her to floor 32. She was early, but as it was her first session, the drone had thought nothing was amiss. Attending metastasis was certainly a risk, but Perdita was resolved. The offshore negatives were too important. They could change everything. She had to protect them at all costs. Perdita had picked up a clean eyeline at the designated safe house, but when Antonio hadn't shown up, she'd fled. He'd talk. Realistically, the odds were in favour of Antonio giving her up. If the roles were reversed, Perdita knew she'd sell him down the river, wouldn't hesitate. His demise would be a loss to the cause, but Antonio had had his day. The old agent could die a proud and accomplished martyr. Perdita, on the other hand, was conscious of her future in the revolution. There was so much left to do, so much momentum within her, so much to achieve. It was a tight spot, though, she admitted, as the lift came to a halt and the doors opened onto a grey-beige corridor. No doubt the kind of circumstances she'd get used to in the years to come, but her options were severely reduced. She daren't go to the other safe houses. It could compromise the recusancy. She was on her own. No identity reconfiguration, no protection, just a clean eyeline and a desperate plan. The idea came to her as she'd considered where to go next, where was safe, which locations would corporate security have under surveillance. Her cover on this mission had been as a cold caller in a market research firm, so the offices where she'd worked were definitely out of bounds. And then one of her colleagues at the firm came to mind. That chatty guy, Russell or something, unnaturally tanned. During one of his rapid monologues, he'd told her how the company had sent him on a course of metastasis. Ray cricked her neck and squinted at the rig. Shit. She'd slept at work again. An uncomfortable night in her recliner hadn't done her any favours. It was draughty, and the shape of the chair wasn't designed for lying on all night. She ought to have gone home, but she hadn't liked the look of her calendar. It rudely insisted on an early morning. All she'd wanted to do was to chill and watch a bit of telly. Saving on travel time meant she could catch an extra programme or two. So it was a quick trip to the vending machine, a snack, and that spare jersey in her locker. Officially, she shouldn't stay overnight in the offices, but she'd done it last week, and no one had said anything, and she simply had to find out what would happen to Tanner. Frost Blood was so fucking exciting right now. And how funny was Curb Your Kangaroo? Never been a show like it. Everyone was watching. Ray tumbled down the corridor to find something that might look like breakfast. The market research cluster would be here soon, and she needed to shake off her early morning grouch. Perdita was fretting by the vending machine when Ray got there. She recognised her from the file. The animation was unmistakable. But the picture hadn't done her justice. A touch of dignity in every movement, a little elegance in every gesture. Understated, but expensive. If this was genetic enhancement, then it was very tasteful. Ray cleared the frog in her throat, introduced herself, and welcomed her to Inflorescence Incorporated for her first session. The young woman seemed friendly, if a little awkward. Ray asked what she was doing, and Perdita bit her lip, nodded at the vending machine, and explained her shortage of funds. "I'm sorry, this is so embarrassing," Perdita apologised. "Thought I had the credit, honestly. I'd no idea." "And I thought I was skint," Ray said. "I know. It's only a few credits. You must think I'm such a..." "Don't stress. It's fine. What do you want?" "Salad smoothie? The one with gene oil, if that's all right." "Yes, that one." Ray selected the smoothie and a synth meat roll for herself, then swiped her eyeline over the scanner. They waited. She swiped again and blew a strand of hair from her face. Smiling apologetically, Ray tapped her eyeline a few times and tried a third time. It didn't work. "Yes, well, that is a rather good summary of my week so far. Sorry about this, Perdita. I have the credits." She waved her wrist in the air. "But not the tech. Suppose someone had to get the worst eyeline in the factory." Perdita laughed. "Don't apologise. There's bound to be something at home. I'm sure I'll survive until after our session." "I've got a better idea." Ray raised her eyebrows. "Follow me." She led Perdita down the corridor to an unmarked door. Now, if that drone gave me access to the entire floor, then this should... Yes. The door opened, and a light went on in the small storage cupboard. All the shelves were stacked with tight, vacuum-sealed packages. Shiny foil cubes arranged with colour-coded labels. "What was it you wanted again? Salad smoothie?" "Healthy. Conscientious." She grabbed a few packs and threw them over to Perdita. She found another for herself. "Now, I know this synth meat is a total travesty, but if you mix it with one of these," she plucked another from a higher shelf, "and try to forget that you're a mammal in need of natural nourishment and sustenance, then you actually get a pretty tasty dish." Sat on the counter in the breakout room, Ray stabbed at the hard, dry chunks that lay in the bowl of hot water she'd prepared. Perdita had left her smoothie to rehydrate under a small plate. Leaning in the doorway, the recusant inspected the ceiling. "I'm not saying I'd never get a tattoo," said Ray, hacking at the contents of her bowl, "but it's a fine line, isn't it? There's not many who pull one off like you. You've nailed it. Most are either bland and pointless or ugly as fuck. I'm just not confident I'd get it right, you know?" Perdita lifted her shirt to reveal the right flank of her midriff. Ray stopped stirring. "Ah. Yes, I know. I believe this one falls into the ugly as fuck category." "Well, no, I know. It's hideous. What can I say? I made a mistake." Yes, you certainly did. What is that bit there at the end? Is that supposed to be a fist or something?" "That bit? No, it's meant to be a buried treasure chest." "Is it bleeding?" "Well, that's where my heart is kept, you see." "And your heart's a bit, squashed?" "It has to share the space with the volumes of teenage diaries I wrote. It's pretty tight in there." "And what does that say?" Ray pointed at a torn red banner with something written on it. Perdita shook her head, embarrassed. "Come on," Ray cajoled her. "It says, they use force to make you do what the deciders have decided you must do." Whoa! Ray gave her a sympathetic glance. Fucking teenagers, right? You said it. God, I was such a dick, Ray laughed to herself. I used to collect my friends' old plasters and bandages. Really? Yeah. Creepy, right? It was symbolic. Their pain, the wound, the healing. I'd ask if I could remove the plaster when they were done. She shook her head in bemusement, then sneaked them in my pocket. I kept them all in a little box. That is creepy, and a bit smelly after a while, trust me. Perdita took the plate off her bowl, found a spoon in a drawer, and started eating her smoothie like soup. Must be interesting, being a panmotech. I'd love to know what goes on in metastasis. I'm not supposed to. It's confidential, I know. I'm simply curious, is all. Wish I could be a simulated fly on the wall. Really? Most people don't give two shits. Okay, so just imagine a lucid dream. One of those where you're dreaming and you can control the content of the dream. Only instead of having fun, you have to go to work and get a load of shit done, or your boss will be on your back. Bit like that. Will you see me in there later? I bet I'll do something embarrassing. It doesn't work like that. I don't see individuals or even symbolic representations of individuals. It's the group mind I meet. A melge of all of you. So what's this group like then? I shouldn't. Ray gave up, poking at her food, and put the bowl down on the bench. She gave Perdita a wry grin. A pain in the arse, if you must know. Perdita laughed between spoonfuls of smoothie. Ever been on a cruise holiday? One of those mega ships that thrust themselves around the world? Can't say I have. Seen the ads? Perdita smirked. Oh, yes. Okay, now, imagine you're stuck on one of those with your local neighbourhood watch committee and you've just dropped a shit ton of acid and you're seriously starting to regret it. Doesn't sound good. Well, that would be a piece of cake in comparison. And you do this every day? 5 or 6 times a day? Doesn't it mess with your head? Sounds a bit mind-bending. To be honest, it's quite mundane. You come across the same old issues over and over. To a greater or lesser extent, everyone is fucked up. Everyone. What surprises me is that we're all nuts in pretty much the same ways. It's a lot less varied than you'd think. Fascinating, really. I envy you. Seriously. Ray, I work in a call centre. All I do is bug people for their opinions. Now, that is mundane. Oh, come on. I love TV. I could talk about it all day. You ought to call me up sometime. I know my shit. Why not? I should do that. Give me a number and I'll get you on my list. Ray pressed something on her eyeline and waved it in Perdita's general direction. Perdita checked her wrist, then looked up, concerned. Ray? Mm-hmm. She was gnawing on some half-hydrated synth meat. Wasn't our session supposed to start at 8? Ray checked the time and spat a mouthful back into the bowl. Oh,